on this computer. Okay. So delete that out there. Where's my... All right, so now we'll talk about the week 6 material. Shrink this down so I can see it all. All right, so this is all about strings. So you've already been doing work with strings, right? You've been doing stuff like this, right? Doing stuff like printing a string. And that's about the extent of what you've been doing with strings. It's really just printing them out. And if we run that, of course, it prints out this is a string. So what exactly is a string? Well, a string is just a bunch of individual characters, right? This string right here, the entire thing within these quote marks, it's just made up of individual letters. It could be letters, lowercase, uppercase. It can be numbers. It can be special characters. So even though, let's say I have this is still actually a string. It's not a number yet. It looks like a number, but it is just a string. And we can verify that. Earlier in the course, we did the thing like type. I think it's just type. It'll tell us what the type of this is. This right here will tell us it's a string. We run it. You see, it's a string, str. It tells you it's a string. Now, if we don't have the quotes, now it's a number. Actually, it'll be an integer. There you go. It's an integer. And of course, if we put some decimals on there, it'll tell us it's a float. There we go. It tells us it's a float. But when we have the quotes around it, it means it's a string. It is no longer a number. We can't do any kind of math with this. It's a string, and it's made up of individual characters. The first character is 1, the second character is 2, so on and so forth. And we can have letters and special characters with it. That's fine because it's not a number. It's just a string of characters, individual characters. So there are a bunch of different things we can do with a string. We can figure out how long the string is. Let's say we have a variable called length. There is a built-in Python function called len, and then we can give it the string A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This length variable is equal to how long the string is. Let's just print it out. It'll tell us how many characters are in that string. We run it, it tells us 7. Are there 7 characters in the string? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, it was right. If we put a whole lot more, we'll save it. So save it and run it. There are 44 characters in this string. Now it does count white space. And of course, by white space, I mean, the spaces in here. So the space, it's a character itself. Let's look at that more closely. So if we just have A by itself, it tells us it's 1, right? If we put a space A in there, how long is that? It's actually going to be 3. It's A space A, and a space is a character. Tells us it's 3 long. If we end with a space, that's 4. It's still, even though this is at the end, it still counts as a character. Let's save it and let's run it, and it's 4. So this length will tell us how long a string is. Why do we need to know something like that? Well, we're going to see here shortly with some loops and things we can do with a string. Okay, so let's imagine we have the string the variable is ABC, and we're just going to put some of our ABCs in here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Yeah, we'll just stop right there. Let's say we have this string, the variable is ABC, and it's equal to this string, which is the first few characters of the alphabet. Okay. So let's imagine we want to do something with each individual character in the string. Remember, I said a string is just a collection. It's a list of individual characters. How can we loop through a string and access each individual character? There's two ways you can do that, and I'm going to show you both ways. And it's using for loops. Okay, we've done for loops before, but let's do a for loop with a string. We can say for character in ABC. Now, character is just a variable name. This could be whatever variable I want to call it. This could be the variable name. It doesn't matter what a variable name is. I'm going to call it character because it's descriptive about what I'm doing. And then let's just say I want to print the character. So what does this do? Just like earlier in the assignment example, when I had a list of students and I had for student in students. Now I'm doing for character in this ABC string. So because this ABC is a string, this character will be each individual character in that string each time through the loop. And let's see that work. Here at the beginning, we're just going to print the whole string. Then we're going to do a loop, and we're going to get each character in the string in the loop. And each time in the loop, we're just going to print off character. And we'll say the character is character. And what character will be, the first time in the loop, it's going to be A. The next time in the loop, it'll be B. The next time in the loop, it'll be C, and so on and so forth. So let's see this in action. Let's run it. And there we go. At first, we just print off the string ABC, and that's what we get. That's what we get right here. And then we're going to do the loop, each character in that string, and then we just print that out, and you can see it. The character is A, the character is B, the character is C, so on and so forth for each letter. And of course, we can just increase this, HIJKLM. We save it, run it, and there you go. There's the whole string. And there we're accessing each character in the string, one character at a time. So if we wanted to do something with each individual character, this is how we access each individual character. There's another way we can do the loop, and it looks like this. I'll type out the complete loop, and then we'll discuss how it works. So it's for I in range, the length of ABC. And we'll print the character is BC of I. I character is, there we go. All right. This is what the other loop looks like. So we still have our string. We're still just going to print our string. But now we have this for loop. We did this kind of for loop earlier in the course. So let's break it down each individual part. So first we have this length of ABC. Well, I already showed you what the len does, right? It returns to you how many characters are in the loop. Excuse me, how many characters are in that string? Well, for this, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? So this is the same thing as just saying 13 in there. That's what the LEN of ABC gets you. It gets you 13. The reason why we don't just put 13 in there, let's say we made it one less. Well, now it's 12, right? So if I change that string, I got to come back down here and change this to 12. If I take 2 more off, I have to remember to come back down here and put 10, right? Well, let's not do that and just say it's equal to the length of ABC. So now anytime I change this string, this is still going to be how long it is. I don't have to manually count them up, and I don't have to manually change this number. This automatically computes for me how many characters are in the string. All right, so let's look at what this range does. Let's comment this stuff out for a second. Oops, dang it. So first of all, let's just print the length of ABC. We'll be able to see the relationship between these. All right, so we'll have our string. We'll have our string. We will print our string. Then we're going to print how long the string is. And then we're going to print out whatever this range thing does. So if this length ends up being 5, what is the range of 5? Let's save it and let's run it. Oops. I think I got too many parentheses in there. Yep, need one more parenthesis. Unfortunately, it just prints it out like that. So what the range does, it counts for us, is what it does. So when we have the range of some number in here, it's going to count from 0 up to that number, up to, but not including that number. And what do I mean by that? So if I have a range, let's say I have a range of 9, it's going to count from 0 up to 9, up to, but not including 9. And so when we have this for loop, it's going to access each individual number that it counted. One more time. So this is our string. The length of that string is 9. The range is basically counting from 0 to 9, but it does not include 9. And the for I, it accesses each individual number in that counting. So whenever I print I as part of this loop, it's just going to count from 0 up to 8. And there we go. You know, there it prints our string, and there we go. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is what the I is. Of course, if we change this string to be less, save it and run it, now it's going to count from 0 to 6. So even though the length is 7, let's print out the length again. The length is 7, but it counts from 0 to 6. That is still 7 loops, though. If you count from 0 to 6, that's still 7 numbers. We're just starting at 0. And why is that important? Well, that's important for accessing each individual character in the string. Now, this is probably going to seem a little bit funky, but this works. This is how it works in Python, and it's actually the same for every programming language. Every programming language works like this. So We already saw that I is, the number in this counting, right? Well, how do we get the letter associated with that? So let's say the character is equal to what? How do we get the individual character? Well, the string is ABC, and then we have these bracket things. And inside the bracket, you put the number place of the character you want to access. And the thing is, it starts at 0. And what do I mean by that is in this string, A is the 0 character. B is the 1 character. C is the 2 character. D is the 3 character, and so on and so forth. So actually, if I put 0 here, which character is that? Well, let's leave that comment for a second. Let's actually comment our whole loop. So if I print ABC, it prints the whole string. If I print ABC with the bracket of 0, what is that going to print? It's going to print the individual character at the 0 place, and 0 starts at the beginning. So it'll just print us A. There we go. There's the whole string, and there's just the A. If I put A2 here, what is it going to print? Well, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. So this is going to print out C. And there we get the C. So let's take this back to our loop. So I showed you that I will count from 0 up to however long the string is. So if I want to access an individual character, I can access the I character. Because the first time in the loop, I is 0, so I'm going to access the 0 character. The next time in the loop, I will be 1. Then we'll access the 1 character. The next time in the loop, I will be 2. We'll do the 2 character. So let's just print this out so we can see it work. There you go. We can see. Actually, let's remove that print so it's more clear. There we go. So we're looping through a range that, remember, that just means the count from 0 up to how long the string is. We're going to get the character at that I location in the string, and then we're going to print out I and the character. So in the loop, the 0 character is A, the 1 character is B, 2 character is C, and so on and so forth. And you see that matches up with our string. That doesn't matter what our string is. Save it and run it. There you go. It still loops through all of those characters using that I location in the character. So that's how this is the 2 ways you can loop through the string. Let's show both ways real fast. For character in ABC, print character. That way is a little bit shorter, but what you lose here is you lose that I. You don't know what place in the string the character is. And for a lot of purposes, that's fine. You don't always need that. But if you need to know where in the string it is, you have to do something like this here, where you can know the I location where you're getting the character. The 2 ways you can loop through a string and access each character. Okay. Let's talk about string slices. All right, we're done with the loops for now. So ABC is the entire string, right? What if we only need a small part of the string? Let's say we only want the first 3 characters. Let's change this back to the alphabet. What if we only want the first 3 characters? How can we get just the first 3 characters? We can use what we call a string slice. We will still use the brackets here, but inside the brackets, just like with an individual character, we just had one number, right? This is an individual character. It is the character at the 3rd place. And since we start at 0, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, that'll just print out D. That's how we get one individual character. What if we want more than one character? We can do that with a string slice. We have to tell it where we want to start and where we want to end for a string slice. So let's say we want the first 3 characters. So we will start at character 0. We will put a colon here, and then we tell it where to stop. Somebody's got a hot mic. Can you please mute it? So we have to put it where to stop. Okay. So if we want the first 3 characters, where do we stop? So A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. So we put 2, but the thing is, we have to add 1 onto it. So really, we need to put 3 there. It's a quirk of Python. And like I said, it's really the same for all programming languages. But this is how we get more than one character out of the string. This is where we stop. This is where we start. We put a colon. This is where we stop plus 1. So we're stopping where the last character will actually be 2, because this is the stop, which is 2 plus 1. So it gives us a 3. So if I save it and if I run this, we'll see the whole string is this, and the first 3 characters are ABC. Let's say we want the characters C, D, E, F. Let's say we want those middle 4 characters. Well, where does C start? C is 2, because A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. Now we wanted all of those. So which position is F? Well, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, E is 4, F is 5, plus 1 is 6. So that'll give us the C, D, E, F. Let's save it and run it. And there you go. You get C, D, E, F. There are a couple shortcuts I want to show you. So if we want to start at the beginning of the string, we can leave out the first number. If you leave out the first number, it just means that you want to start at the very beginning. So if we leave out the first number, and let's say we put a 4 there for the end, what is that going to give us? Well, it'll start at the beginning. It'll go up to 4. So A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, E is 4. But remember, this is the plus 1 thing. So actually stop at D. We run it. There we go. We get A, B, C, D. If we want to go to the very end, let's say we want to start at 3. What is that? That's the D. If we want to go to the very end, we can have the second number as blank. If the second number is blank, it just means go to the end of the string. Save it and run it. There you go. We started at 3, which is the D, and it goes to the end of the string. Likewise, if we leave both blank, that works too. That just means start at the beginning and go to the end. So that's just still the whole string. Run it, and we still get the whole string. One more thing about string slices, and this starts to get a little confusing because we can use negative numbers in here too. Let's say we use -2 here. We want to start at -2. Initially, that may not seem like it makes a lot of sense, but what it means is when we use a negative number, it just means from the end of the string. So if we say start -2, it's actually this G right here. Why? Because G is 2 from the end of the string. And the blank means go to the end of the string. So we're going to start at -2, which is this G, and that's because it's 2 from the end. And we're going to go to the end of the string. If we run that, we get the G and the H. We can put -6 here. And what is that? I think that might be the C or so. Let's run that. There you go. We get that. We can also have a negative there for that. And it just means start at -6, which is here, and go to -2, which I think is right there. Save it and run it. There you go. C, D, E, F. So that's how you can use negative numbers. So we can start at the beginning, or we can go say 2 to -2. They don't both have to be negative. They can be like this, 2 to -2. And that starts at, see, the C, and I guess goes through the F again. There we go. What if we do this? What's going to happen here? We're saying start at -2, start right here, and go to 2, but 2 is right here. What happens? You may think it would crash. It actually doesn't crash. It gives to you a blank string. There's nothing there. Because if you start right here and you go until you get back here earlier in the string, that just doesn't work. And so it just gives you a blank string. So this is how you can access string slices, individual pieces of the string. Only a few more things to go through, and then we'll do questions. So let's talk about how a string is immutable. Immutable just means after you create it, you cannot change it. Meaning, once this is our string, we cannot change that string. Let's see what I'm talking about. So say ABC. Let's do that loop again. Remember, we do this right here. We'll have our string. We will print our string. Then we're going to access each individual character and print it out. Yep, works no problem, right? So if the character, if ABC and I, if that is the individual character, can we change that individual character? Can we make ABC equal to a different character? So ABC of I, that's the individual character. Whenever I is 0, that means we're talking about A. Actually, we don't even need the loop for this. Let's just say ABC of 0 is equal to Z. Can we do that? Can we change that individual character? Print ABC of 0, and then we'll print ABC of 0. So what all are we doing here? We're going to have a string, this. We're going to print out the whole string. Now we're just going to print out that individual letter, the 0 one, which is the A. We're going to try to change what that letter is. We're going to try to change it to be a Z. Then we're going to try to print that individual letter again, and then we'll print the whole string again. what happens? It actually crashes. If we look, it printed out the whole string. It printed out the individual letter. It did this right here. But now it got to line 5. And what does it say? It actually tells you what line it's on. It says line 5, ABC is 0 equals Z. The string object does not support item assignment. What that means is I cannot change an individual letter of that string. That's what we mean by strings are immutable. You cannot change the individual characters in a string after you have created the string. That doesn't work. Other programming languages let you do that. Like C, C++ lets you do that. Java does not let you do that. Python does not let you do that. So once you make this string, you can't change that string. Now be careful. I said you can't change the string. You can change the variable, meaning I can make ABC a completely different string. This is okay because I'm saying the variable is equal to that string. I can't change the string itself, but I can make the variable equal to a new string. That works fine. There you go. I print out the first string, I print out the other string. That's fine. But what I can't do is change an individual character in the string. See, gives me the problem. Cannot change a character in a string. Strings are immutable. All right. Loops and counting. We're just going to do this one real fast. This one's pretty easy. Let's say we have our loop again. I'm just going to say C. C is going to be the character. Let's say we want to count how many Z's are in this string. I have a variable to count them. So we can say if the character is a Z, count equals count plus 1. And then we'll just print count. This is going to count how many Z's are in the string, right? That's our string. We need to remember how many we have counted. So if we remember something, we need a variable. This is going to loop over each character in the string. We'll say if that character is a Z, then we're going to increase the count, and then we'll print the count at the end. And right now, that's going to be 0, right? Because there's no Z's in it. Let's say we add a Z there. Count is 1, of course. Add a Z there, a Z there, a Z there. So that's like 4. Save. 4. So whatever you want to count about the string is fine. Let's say you want to count how many vowels are in it. So if C is A, or C is A, E, I, O, U. We'll forget about sometimes Y. So here we'll say if the C is A, or C is E, or C is I, or so on and so forth. If it's any of the vowels, then we're going to print out how many vowels are in it. We'll save it. Let's run it. There we go. It says there are 2 vowels. Is that right? Well, there's an A, there's an E. It doesn't look like any more. Let's just do a random bunch of keys. How many vowels are in that? Let's save it and let's run it. There are 7 vowels in there. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7 vowels in there. So that's how you can loop over a string, and you can do whatever you want with the individual character. Here, we're just going to count up something. So that's how you can do loops and counting. Right? String conditions. Right? Let's just make this string Dan. So just like we did with numbers before, actually, let's get input from the user. Input, let's just say, enter your name. Let's say we want to have their name typed in. And then right now, we'll just print it. Run that. Of course, easy and simple. Enter your name, Dan. It prints out Dan. But let's say we want to do some kind of checks with that string. Let's say if ABC is equal to Dan, print great. Else, print not great. Right? So just like in previous in the course where you were doing if statement with numbers, you do if statements with integers, with float numbers and things like that. You can do the same thing with strings. The most common one is equal to. So I'm going to say if the input is Dan, I'm going to print great. If it's not, we're going to print not great. Save it and run it. If I put in Dan, it prints great. If I put in John, it's not great. Okay, that's how we can compare strings. Just like equal to, we can do not equal to, right? Let's save it and let's run it. Of course, if I put in Dan, now it's not great. If I put in Bob, it's great because it was based on this comparison right here. Let's go back to equal to for a second. Let's save it. Let's run it. What if I put in a capital DAN? Capital D, little a, little n. What's it going to print here? Not great. And why is that? Because I typed in a capital D in Dan, and here I'm just comparing it to lowercase. So a lowercase letter is not equal to an uppercase letter. They're different. If I put in here, if D is equal to D, print yes. Else, print. We're going to use this short example for a lot of things here. Let's get rid of the rest of this stuff. Let's just look at this. So of course, if we put in little d equals little d, if we save it, of course, that's going to print yes, they are equal to each other. But little d is equal to little e, that's going to print no, right? Those are not equal. Well, little d is not equal, little d equal to big D. Is that true? And the answer is no. A lowercase letter is not equal to an uppercase letter. Of course, if we change this around, like I said, we can put not equals. And now that's going to be yes, because little d not equal to big D, that is yes. So we can have equals to, we can have not equals to, we can also have less than. And how does less than work? Well, the less than works just like you would think, if you're looking up, say, a word in a dictionary, you compare each individual letters. Let's make this a little bit longer. So is Dan less than Dan? The answer is no, because they're the exact same, right? So no. Well, what if we have Bob? Is Dan less than Bob? The answer is no. And why is that? Because you alphabetically compare them just like you would words in a dictionary. First, you compare the first two letters. Is Dan less than B? The answer is no, so you automatically print no. Let's change it around. Is Bob less than Dan? That is true because B comes before D in the dictionary. So it's yes. So now what if there are more? Is Daniel less than Dan? The answer is no. And why not? Let's switch it around. Is Dan less than Daniel? That is true. Yes. So why is that? So just like in the dictionary, you compare D, and since the D matches, you go to the next letter. You compare the A is the same, so you go to the next letter. The N is the same, you go to the next letter. Well, there is no next letter here. And so this shorter word comes before the longer word. So what if we have this? This is our example from just a little bit earlier. Is lower Dan less than capital Dan? And this might surprise you, but it's no. The reason is uppercase letters are less than lowercase letters. What I mean by that? So I'm going to say if capital D is less than lowercase d. May seem slightly counterintuitive, but it's actually true. The big letters come before the lowercase letters. Okay. Same thing if I had a capital W here, all of the uppercase letters come before the lowercase letters. So even though, logically thinking a W comes later in the alphabet, since it's an uppercase letter, it comes first. All uppercase letters are less than all lowercase letters. Save it and run it. And it says yes, because it's an uppercase letter. And of course, just like you have less than, you can have greater than. And it's not limited to individual strings. We can have longer strings. We're comparing strings here. So you can have equals, you can have not equals, you can have less than, and you can have greater than. All with strings. The things you have to remember about strings is you compare them kind of like you would alphabetically in a dictionary. The caveat is uppercase letters are not equal to lowercase letters, and all uppercase letters come first. So like I said, if we have capital D-A-N, little d-a-n, those are not equal to each other. And capital D-A-N is actually less than little d-a-n. And you can mix those in there too. You can have that right there. And that's still true. That's how you can compare strings. Now let's go back to our example. Actually, string methods would be the last thing. Okay, so let's get back our input from the user. Enter a string. Input. A couple things you can do with a string. Actually, all of these fall into the string methods. So let's look at what a bunch of string methods do. We can do ABC. I think it's dot reverse. I hope that's right. I think that's the right word. I'm not too worried about that. Let me see if that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Your string. No, reverse. I think I had that wrong. There is a function, that a string method you can use to reverse a string. Not going to worry about it. It's not in any of your assignments or anything. But the most important ones for the string methods are lower and upper. Those are the two we're going to talk about. Your course material talks about some other ones. Not going to worry that too much about that. The ones you need to remember are lower and upper. What do I mean by that? Is we can say ABC dot lower, ABC upper. What do those two things do? And then we'll just print just the normal ABC. So when we have a dot here, it just means it's a method that you can do on a string. Since ABC is a string, we're going to do the lower method on that string. And so what does lower do? What lower does, it takes the string and it makes all of the letters lowercase. The upper makes all of the characters uppercase. So let's save it and let's run this. So if I enter this string QWERTY, you can see that's the original string. That's the string dot lower. It's the same thing because it's already lowercase. And this is the string dot upper. It made all of the letters uppercase. What it actually does, it returns a string that does it. What do I mean by that? Let's take out the lower. Let's just do ABC dot upper and then print ABC again. What's going to happen here? So we type in the string. We're going to print the string just how it is. We're going to call the upper, and then we're going to print the string again. What's that going to look like? Enter a string, QWERTY, and there we go. Here we're printing the original string, which is right there. We're doing the upper, and then we're going to print the string again. Well, why is it not uppercase letters? And it goes back to what I said about a string being immutable. You cannot change the individual characters in a string. So what upper does, it does not change that existing string. It makes a new string and it returns it. So let's do it like, oh, can't have DEF, that means define. Print QWE, there we go. So this ABC.upper, it does not change the ABC string. You cannot change a string, it's immutable. What it does is it creates a new string with all of these uppercase letters and it returns it. And so we're saying this variable is equal to whatever it returns. And then we'll print the original string and print the new string again. Save it and run it. There we go. There's the original string right there, ABC. We do this to upper. Now we're going to print the original string again, which is right here. And then we're going to print that new string it created, which is the string uppercase. So how does that help us? Well, let's say, like our example earlier, we want to detect something in the string. So we're going to say if Dan, if ABC is equal to Dan, print great, else print not great, right? Get rid of all this. So let's look at that example again. We're going to see if did they type in Dan. So I'm going to run it. If I type in Dan, it says great. If I type in a capital DAN, it's not great. Type in all capital Dan, it's not great. Well, what can I do here so that no matter if they type in uppercase or lowercase, then if it's Dan, it's great. Well, there's two things you can do. Let's say instead of Dan, let's make it long. Actually, no, let's keep it at this example. So we could say if it's that, or if ABC is equal to capital DAN, or ABC is equal to all capital DAN, right? I could do that. Let's run that. So if I type in little Dan, it's fine. Capital D-A-N, it's fine. All capital D-A-N is fine. But what if I do big D, little a, big N? That's not great. All right, well, let's take that into account. So, or big D, little a, big N. All right. Run it again. Big D, little a. Great. Okay, what about little d, big A, big N? Okay. Oh, or ABC equals it. Messed up my code. There we go. So big D, little a, big N. Great. Little d, big A, big N. That's not great. Okay, let's add that. Or little d, big A, big N. You see how this quickly gets out of control, right? Right? This is quickly getting out of control just to detect DAN. Well, let's forget all that. You just say ABC dot lower is equal to DAN. So whatever they typed in, we're going to make it all, if the all lowercase version is equal to lowercase Dan. So no matter what combination of Dan I type in, it's all great. See? It's all great. If I type, of course, if I type in anything else, it's not great. It still works. So we could use lower. Likewise, we could use upper, but then we'd have to make our comparison equal to the uppercase letters. Run it. Your string. That's not great. Any combination of Dan is great. So if you have like a homework or an assignment or something like that, and you have to figure out, does the string contain something? Well, that's how you can do an easy comparison. You could do this dot upper. Now, one more example with this, and then we'll start shutting down this session. So let's say we want to know if Dan exists anywhere in the string. So right now, if we do Dan, see, Dan is in the string, but it's going to tell us it's not great. And that's right, because we're just checking equal to. Well, how can we see if Dan is anywhere in the string? One more if statement. So we can say if Dan in there. Let's go back with lower. I don't know why. I like using lower better than upper. Personal preference. You can use upper, not an issue. So I'm going to say if the string Dan is in that lowercase string. So that's saying, is Dan anywhere in that string? So I can run it. So if I put just Dan, it's great. If I put Daniel, it's great because Dan does exist right there. If I put whatever, Dan, whatever, it's still great because Dan does exist in there, right there. And then if you want to see if it's not in there, you can just put not in. So now when we save it, and if I run it, put Dan, that's not great because I said Dan not in there. Likewise, Dan can exist anywhere in there. It's not great because it is in there. And of course, if we do a string that doesn't have it, it's fine. Okay. Let me look at your assignment real quick. I'm pretty sure I know what it is off the top of my head. I think it's the password one. Oh, that's the quiz assignment. Yep. So for your assignment, it's all about checking if a password is correct or not. So the first thing you have to do, you have to check the length of the password. We did that earlier, remember? We did the length of ABC, right? Right. So whatever they type in, this is the length of the string. Okay. So you got to check the length of the password to make sure it's within, either it's so short or it's so long. It must not include any spaces. So you need to check if a space is in the password. Hint, hint, if a space is in the password. It must contain at least one digit. It has to have a number in there somewhere. So you need to check all of the characters, and at least one of them has to be a number. It must contain at least one alphabetic character. So you need to check all of the characters in the string, and you need to make sure at least one of them is an alphabetic character. And now your program also is going to require you to make these three functions. Please make an actual function, just like I showed you at the beginning for the assignment. Make an actual function. Your program should prompt the user for the password, call the functions, and display if the password is valid or not. And it needs to say, if it's not a valid password, it needs to say why it's not a valid password. So just like I did with the assignment 5 at the beginning, you need to break each of these down into individual steps. And then you need to program those individual steps. But all of this stuff it's asking you to do, I've shown you how to do with all of these string functions today. Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up for any questions and answers you may have. I don't see any questions so far. Oh, there's a question. How can we check if there is a number? Okay. I'm not going to type in the example. I'll talk through it for a second. So earlier in the session, we talked about how we can loop through a string, right? For a character in the string. I showed you how you can access each individual character, right? So look at your assignment here. Look at what it says right here. Let me find it. A third function to verify that it does not contain the prohibited character space. Hint, to determine whether it contains at least one digit and one alphabetic character, use a loop and the is alpha or is digit methods. So right there, your assignment is telling you how to do it. Use a loop and is alpha or is digit methods. All right, that should answer that. I'll hold on for about 1 more minute for any additional questions. Of course, this is going to get posted on the course website for you to review later if you need to. All right, doesn't look like anything else. All right, everyone have a great rest of your weekend.